Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick demo of a couple of things. I've basically got screenshots just to show you what they look like. I'm going to go through QuickBooks and I'm going to go through Xero. They are the two sort of big companies that are pushing their advertising at the moment. You might see them on TV, radio, things like that. They are pushing for it. There obviously are other softwares, but these are the ones I'm going to go through today. So the first thing we'll be greeted with is a dashboard. So when you log in, the first thing you're going to see is this in Xero, or we have this one, which is in QuickBooks. It's basically just giving you a snapshot of your business. So the main thing is you can see you've got your bank account here. It's showing you your bank balance in Xero and your statement balance. So wherever you are, log into Xero or into QuickBooks, you've got it here as well. It's going to tell you what your bank balance is if you've got a direct feed. And also got your reconciled items. So basically the difference between your in Xero and your statement balance is those items that have not yet been sorted out and put into Xero. We also have, it shows you your invoices owed, so you can see who still owes you, how much is owed, which ones you should be chasing, which ones are going to be coming in. Same with your bills, it's showing you which ones you need to be paying, which ones are overdue. It's just helping you manage your business. And again, same with QuickBooks, it does very similar things with your invoices. It also has a snapshot of your profit and loss, which you can filter by year, month, quarter, whatever you want to see. It's just a quick snapshot, but it wants to show you that. And it's also showing you sales month on month, comparing it to previous months. So the first thing we're going to look at properly is the bank. So this is Xero's bank. Both have direct bank feeds, so instead of having to manually put in all your statement lines, type it in, make sure you don't make errors, that you can just connect it with your bank and it will pull straight in from your bank. So these are your statement lines. That's not been put in manually, it's pulled straight through from your bank. And then on this side, we're doing the matching. So this is basically looking at your statements and how we're going to get it into Xero. There's different ways of doing this. So you can see this top one. This is matching to an invoice already in Xero. So it's very clever. It'll look at the amounts, names, and try and match it to invoices you have in Xero. And all you'd have to do is just double check that's right, press OK, and that one's done for you. Again, here you can see someone's logged in. They're not too sure what to do with this one. You have a discuss tab where you can just type in, I don't know what to do with this. You might log in later and speak to someone. Someone else might log in and see it and say, oh, I know what to do with it, and get rid of it for you. And then finally down here, we've got like a bank rule. So these you can put in yourself and it will look for descriptions, amounts, dates, and it basically, so for this one, it will be looking for 7-Eleven in the description. And every time it sees that, it knows where to code it. So it's doing this rule, and all it's saying is, are you happy for this rule apply? Okay it, and it just goes through. So it's very simple. It's just making sure everything's right and just okaying the transactions. If we have a look at QuickBooks, again, very similar. You have your bank balances up in the corner. Your bank lines, which again are being pulled straight from your bank. This is matched to an invoice again. Just always double check it, make sure it's right, and you match. You've got parking. QuickBooks is very intuitive. It will try and guess what things are. Doesn't always guess right, but it will try and guess, okay, that sounds like a travel expense. We'll put it as a travel expense. You just double check it, put in your VAT rate, and again, add, and it's just straight into Xero. QuickBooks, nothing else to do on it. Or like this one, again, we've got a bank rule. It's preset in the background. It's just double check it, check your VAT rate. Okay, you're happy with it, and then you add it, and it's straight into QuickBooks. It's very quick to do. So that's the bank. The next thing to look at is sales and purchases. So in Xero, putting sales in and putting purchases in is very similar. So I've just done the sales for you, but purchases will go in very similar. So along the top, we have our tabs of what is in there. So we've got drafts, so these ones that have been drafted but you haven't yet sent out to clients, or they haven't been approved by a senior or something like that. Anything that's awaiting approval or waiting payment, so you can have a look, see which ones you need paying, which ones you might need to send reminders out. And you've also got your paid and your repeating. So repeating invoices, say you have an invoice that goes out to someone every month, it will just automatically do it in the background. You don't need to go in every month and just keep on adding it. It will just do it for you as long as you put in a date for it. So then if we go in, we can go into create an invoice. So this is what it will look like when you go in. 2 is a contact. You either type someone in and add them, or if they're already in a contact, you start typing their name and it will pop up with a list and just click on them. You've got your date, your due date, invoice number. You can change that to your own personal one if you want to. Xero will automatically make a number for you and it will follow a sequence, but you can just change that. And then going to put your actual items in. So down here in the item column, This is like items of stock that are already in Xero that we've put in there. You can click on that, and what it's done is it's just populated this whole line for us. We haven't put any of that in. By clicking that stock item, it knows how much it is, what account code it needs to go to, and the VAT rate. So that's one way of doing it. Or other ways, you can just type in your own description, put in your quantity and amount, where you want it to go to, and the VAT. Same thing, you just type it in and add it. And then we have save down the bottom. So like I said earlier, save it. Don't want to send it yet, save it as a draft, keep it there. Or we have approve, so this will approve it and put it onto Xero. And then also on the drop down arrow, there'll be approve and send. So this can send it straight out to your client by an email. It'll pop up with a little box saying, this is your invoice. You click send and that's gone to your client. No need to take it out of Xero, then send it through your own email. It'll go straight from Xero yourself. Okay, so that's Xero's purchase and sales. If we have a look at QuickBooks, it's a little bit different. So wherever you are in QuickBooks, in the top right-hand corner, there's a plus arrow, which brings up this create box. So you can see customers, this is going to be like your sales. Supplies is going to be your purchases. Lots of different names for it, but basically quite simple. You've got your invoices, people you're invoicing that haven't yet paid. Receive payment, you've received money. Estimates, you can do sort of estimates for people if they just want to quote. It does that for you. Credit notes. Sales receipt is if, say, someone's paid you already, paid you on a card, and you just want to do them a quick receipt. That's the way to do it, to record you've already received that payment. And again, the same with expenses. An expense is just you've already paid it, you went to the shop, bought some milk, you want to put it in QuickBooks, you just put it in through there. Or you have the bill, so you've had something come through the post that you need to pay in the next 30 days, you put it in as a bill, and you can pay it at a later date. So if we have a look at how it actually goes in, very similar to Xero. You have your customer, you have your invoice date, your due date, invoice number, again, change it if you need. And then again, products, this will be a drop-down list, we can select it and it automatically populates that for you. Or again, we can type it in, put in our information, what it is, and it's going to calculate it here for you. And then again, very similar with Xero, we have our save, which is just going to save it in the system, save and send, which will send it out to the client straight to their email address. Okay? So the most important thing is VAT. Obviously, this is what it's about, Making Tax Digital. Both are Making Tax Digital compliant. So this is what it looks like in Xero. As Kim said, this information is being pulled from HMRC. You won't put this in. HMRC will tell Xero, this is the period I want you to report for. So you can see this one was April to June. So HMRC wants the April to June information, and it's also going to tell you when it's due by, so there's no thinking when does it need to be submitted. Xero is going to remind you it needs to be done then, and it will do a countdown on the days of when it's due. So if we have a look at the return, very straightforward. You have your 9 boxes. These figures, that's all that goes to HMRC. No other information will go to HMRC other than these 9 box information. So you're probably looking at this and saying, looks quite familiar for a VAT return, but what makes up that figure? The 11,000. So if we go to the next page, we have these tabs along the top, and it's got transaction by VAT box. So this is basically a list of all your sales that are on that VAT return, and at the bottom it's going to subtotal it, and it's going to match that amount that is on your VAT return. So you always know what makes up of it. You can come here, have a check, make sure you're happy with everything, make sure the VAT's right on them. You can also sort it by tax rate, so you can check everything that's 20% should be, everything that's no VAT should be. It's just a way of checking it before you send it. And then if we just have a quick look, there are adjustments that you can make. So this is the adjustments section. So say if you've reviewed your VAT return and you think, oh, I've missed a sale. What you can do is you can come in here. This adjustment amount is for your VAT amount, so the VAT that's on it. And you have to give a reason. It wants an audit trail of what's going on. So you have to put a reason in. This one we put correction of error, but you might say, missed an invoice, put that in. And there's also an option to create an accounting transaction for it. So you don't need to go back later and put it in. You just tick the box, say where it's going, and it's going to create that transaction in Xero for you whilst you're doing that adjustment. Okay, so that's Xero. This is what QuickBooks looks like, very similar. So this is your landing page. It's got your status. So you can see these ones, green tick, good, they're done, paid for. This one's still in an open status. It's got an exclamation mark. It's showing you your period. When it's filed, we'll fill in there once it's been filed. The VAT due at that point in time, it's going to tell you. Obviously, it will change as you go through to the end of the quarter, but it's going to give you a snapshot of where you are at that point. So we'd go over here to the drop-down arrow, and you can click and go into view the VAT return. So this is what it looks like. Again, just the 9 boxes, the figures in there, that's what's going to HMRC. Again, you can have a look at what these figures are by clicking on the number, and it will come up with a report sort of like this. So again, it's showing you what makes up that amount. So you've got your net amount, the amount of VAT on it, and that's how you sort of see what's included, double checking your figures on the VAT return. If you think, I'm not sure that seems high, you can just go in, have a look, what's making it up. So that's VAT in QuickBooks. I'm just going to go through a couple of other benefits of cloud accounting. So it's real-time information. So with the bank feed, you can always see where your bank is. You can see your bank statements. You can see your balance. You don't have to wait for your statement to come through the post, have a check through it and think, okay, those people haven't paid. You can quickly go in, see they haven't paid, and chase them on it. We have the reports, so both of them have report sections. You can do profit and loss, balance sheets, cash flows, look at your aged creditors and debtors and see who owes you, who you owe. You can run them whenever, for whatever, so you can do quarters, months, do comparisons year on year, month on month. It's very quick and it helps businesses take control of their finance and not wait for their accounts to be done to see that was our profit for the year. You can do it on a monthly, quarterly basis and see how you're doing at that point in time. They're very easy to use. They're not built for accountants. Old software is normally built for accountants. They're quite complicated. These ones aren't built for accountants in mind. They know that businesses want to take control. So they're very easy to use and they have good support. So QuickBooks have a telephone support that you can ring, and Xero have lots of learning documents and training stuff, videos, things like that. So you can always sort of search Xero, I need help with this, and it will sort of pop up and just have loads of articles on it. You can access it anywhere, as long as you've got internet connection on your phone, tablets, laptops, anywhere you can access it. You can have a quick login, check things, do anything you want, and then leave it. And finally, multiple users. You don't have to keep it to yourself. You can delegate things. So say if you wanted employees to be putting invoices on as they do them, but you don't want them to see sensitive information like the bank, you can restrict their use to what they can look at, but without being able to see banks or things that you don't want them to see. So that's it from me. I'm just going to hand back to Stephen, who's just going to wrap up for us.